Whether your beer is in a bottle, can, or glass, kick back and relax. It's Better on Draft.
And we are live. This is episode 250 Better on Draft podcast. My name is Ken. I appreciate you all joining us on this very interesting episode thrown together last minute. Sadly, our guest, who was supposed to be Parish Brewing, did come down with a sickness, and we did not want to have him not be able to drink and chat and be merry with us. So he will be back next week to join us on the episode for 251. So that is going to be Parish Brewing next week, 251. I promise he's going to be here. But somebody else made a promise when we interviewed him over at Witch's Hat for the Dragon Tracks release. He said, "Hey guys, if you ever need me in a pinch, give me a ring." Well, we gave him a ring, and he is here representing his own show. He does his own podcast all about fantasy sports, including daily fantasy. That is Jonathan Danger Cole. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. And a shout out to my buddy Ben over at Ascension. I'm going to try raspberry pie for the first time with you guys. So
yeah. that answers that question. What are you drinking? So you got a raspberry pie from Ascension. We'll go to Robert while you get the first tasting notes of that. Rob, how you doing? What are you drinking?
Oh my God. The moment you said that he came down with the sickness, I had that damn song in my head.
It was unintentional, but I tried to not call it out because I usually call out every single one of my puns, whether it's on accident or not.
Yeah, I heard the full wow right in my head too when you said it. It's like, damn it, I hate that damn song. But I am sitting here with, I just cracked open a Wendigo from Anchorage Brewing. Their double oaked black barley wine, because it's barley wine and I'm black. So that's what it is.
All right. What do you think of it?
Oh,
I know. A bad pun with an even worse pun. Sorry. It's decent. I mean, I've gotten a couple of these, so this is the second time having it, and for barley wine, it is pretty smooth. I definitely prefer it when it's not really rough on the edges, and just it has that nice little smooth, kind of sweet malt taste to it. That just kind of goes throughout. So it's a pretty decent one.
Awesome. And John, going back to you, how's that Ascension beer? What do you think of it?
I'm not going to lie, man. This could possibly be one of the best fruit beers I've ever had.
Best fruit beers. You heard it here
Your
first.
Blackberry pie is one of my favorites.
Good gracious.
All right. Dan, how you doing over there?
hey, what's going on?
How many monitors you got set up now? I see it. Is that a new one?
No, those have been there. I just have the camera sitting at a different angle, so you can't normally see them both.
All right. Well, what are you drinking over there?
I'm drinking an Okie from Prairie Artisan Ales, Imperial Brown, aged in whiskey barrels.
I do have some prairies that I threw in my fridge for trying to get through my cellar because this stuff's been kind of sitting there for at least over a year, and I want to get to it. So I might get to that later. Wendy, how you doing?
I'm fantastic.
Aged in whiskey.
What are you? Yeah, we're happy for you to be back. We missed you last week, but what are you drinking this week?
Thank God Arvon Brewing does delivery across the state, because I am drinking a Winter Drifter. I too have gone through quite a bit of my cellar, so I was getting pretty low in the ranks there. This is fantastic. It's pretty thick, definitely a little oil cannish, but I'm glad I got a couple extras, because I think that I'm probably not getting the flavor that I should still from my sickness. So I'm looking forward to trying it a second time later on.
All right, and for me, I am pulling a Nick. Nick is not available today. Obviously, being a new father, we kind of expected he's going to be dipping in and out for the next couple months. So obviously, we'll catch up with him when we can. I have got from a Zaftig Brewing Company out of Worthington, Ohio. This is the Heavy Hearted Amber. This is an 8% amber that I got, and I also have that I will be opening up right after. A favorite of mine that doesn't get to Michigan, but I was able to find it when I went to Ohio, and that is the Duck Rabbit Amber. So trying to stay within the amber family of things. Maybe I might go to a brown, maybe I might go to that imperial. But today was quite the occasion for people who play fantasy sports, whether it's daily fantasy, fantasy football, those of you who like to go to the casino, those of you who like to gamble, because today is the day that Michigan has fully launched online gambling. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to be able to play every game you go into a casino. I, for one, am a huge fan of the game Pai Gow, which is a form of poker against a dealer. Those are not on any of the websites that I signed up for today. But I wanted to bring in Jon Cole here because with Draft for Upside, why don't you give us a quick rundown of what it is and what you guys talk about weekly on your show?
Yeah, you got it. So Draft for Upside, it's me and a couple other fellas that like to talk sports and drink beer. So Draft is DRAUGHT, like draft beer. So Draft for Upside, find us on Facebook. We have been writing content for another webpage called fantasyfootballblueprint.com, and we started doing betting stuff as well. So we're all very excited about being able to legally place bets in the state of Michigan. So yeah, we've got guys that cover baseball, we've got golf, we've got football, hockey, and if you saw us this morning at 10 o'clock in the morning, we had a broadcast for League of Legends. So we're doing esports gaming on DraftKings as well. So you name it, we're betting on it, man. So we are very excited about today.
Now, I have seen a lot of the gambling here on, it looks like Nick is here, so I'm going to be editing the video. We see a lot of gambling for all of these games. So Counter-Strike, League of Legends. Now, do you guys cover any of the news that go in with those industries? Because while there's a lot of information regarding the characters, the players and stuff, there has been a history of things like match fixing. Do you guys get into that at all, or just kind of go for a guess of what's going on in that world?
We haven't really got into that a whole lot. We talk about it every now and then when we get the podcast going on the sports, but we stick to mainly just the DraftKings lineup builds on the shows. My partner, Chris Emmerich, who is at Emmerich D4U on Twitter, is a top 1% DFS player in the world when it comes to esports. So he has quite a following, and he gets into a lot of that on his Twitter feed, but we don't talk about much of that online. But yeah, there were some big issues earlier last year, I should say, when all the major sports went down and everybody kind of turned their attention to esports because they could still gamble on it. And I remember sitting at Witch's Hat working a to-go counter shift when they actually closed down the CSGO match because of match fixing. It was crazy. And not necessarily match fixing, but they play it on a delay for you to watch it online and gamble on. But somebody had got into the direct feed and was feeding people what was happening before it was coming on online. So the people who live bet were getting fed, information before people actually saw it play out. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think the term, obviously a couple of us are gamers here. We use the term stream sniping for that. Nicholas, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Happy Friday, guys. Hope everyone's enjoying their weekend here.
We are excited to have you here. We know you are busy with baby Brody over there, but what are you drinking?
I am drinking from Weathered Souls Hops Party.
Oh gosh, that's got to be a little old.
No, it tastes great. I like it. I love it.
How about that can?
And then UFO Pumpkin from Harpoon.
Well, we know Dan loves his pumpkin beer.
Oh,
sure.
yeah. Give me all those pumpkin beers. Nick, can you mail that to me right now?
Yep, I will do that right now. You might get it in about, call it 6 months.
Mail it to him so that he can put it in the landfill.
Yeah. If I can say real quick, I am still waiting for my UPS shipment from Reputation, mind you.
Lovely.
That's what I ordered from DeWitt. We have our Slack channel for Better on Draft. I ordered a shipment of 2 different types of cold brew from Reputation. Left DeWitt, was supposed to get here like a week later. It made a wrong turn to Pennsylvania, stayed in Pennsylvania for a few days, made its way back into Pontiac, then moved back down to Detroit, and then made its way to Sterling Heights, which is close, but not close enough. And it still hasn't arrived yet.
Well, I want to kind of go around and get everyone's feel for gambling a little bit to see where everyone is. We're going to start with Rob. Rob, do you go to the casino at all? Do you do online betting? You were talking about, gambling, which is another big thing, playing the stock market. What do you do?
As far as the casinos are concerned, those I do not partake in those very, very often. I would probably say that the last time I'd actually been in a casino was, well, obviously we're going through COVID. So, not many of us are being in casinos right now as it is. But even if casinos were still active, my last time would probably still be with my brother's bachelor party, which was back in I believe that was May of 2019. And even in going in there, I don't generally like to do it just because I'm cheap. I like to do Mortal Kombat frugalities on a regular basis. And so, like, I would love to, like, when I went to Las Vegas for my friend's wedding, shout for that one. When we went down to the old strip and went to like some of the old strip and went to the casinos down there, I could drop $20 and just sit there and play blackjack for 2 hours. I ended up like being up ahead only by $2, but I was still ahead, but I got to play blackjack for 2 hours. And I thought that was pretty damn awesome. But when I step into, the casinos that are around here or the ones that are, I can't remember what the name of that casino is, but it's like halfway between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids.
Firekeepers?
No, he's talking about the one off of 131.
Gun Lakes?
Soaring Eagle?
No, Gun Lake. Jonathan's
Gun
got
Lake.
it correct.
Gun Lake.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Gun Lake. And like stepping in there and just like seeing the blackjack tables and it's just like $10 minimum, $20 minimum. And I'm just like, I don't have that kind of bank to just kind of sit there and just drop 10s and 20s on games of blackjack. So, if there were places that had those super low, like 50-cent dollar minimums, I know the casino's barely making any money off of it, but for a cheap ass like me, I would love to have some fun and do that. So, that's pretty much out for me. I have done some of the online stuff. Obviously we used to do the FanDuel stuff. Obviously I wouldn't necessarily count that as gambling, but we pretty much did that when we were doing the fantasy league with giving out beer and stuff like that. Jon Cole has kind of brought on prize picks in most of his Facebook posts, and I've been very intrigued with that. So it's been kind of fun just kind of watching it and seeing all of that stuff going on. And I tend to I haven't been really betting anything, but just kind of taking those ideas and just like, what, I'd go over under on this and just like, really being excited about watching what's going on in sports was pretty cool. So that's, like I said, I've pretty much been like a cheapskate. So other than pretty much the stock market, which has been good to me lately with the Ford stock and buying that at $4 and it's sitting at 11 right now. I mean, that's about the only gambling I've been doing lately.
All right. Well, after that explanation, I'm going to head over to Wendy because I know Wendy isn't necessarily the gambler here. I know she's got friends who like to gamble and she likes to reap the benefits of their gambling.
Absolutely. That's the best way to do it. Yeah, I'm the girl that when we go to the casino, I have money in my pocket to put in the slots and in my left pocket and money in my right pocket to sit at the bar. And I spend the money in my left pocket and then I go sit at the bar. So I have been in plenty of places with my friend who gambles. One of my very best friends gambles and does very well. And he has taken me on multiple cruises thanks to his gambling. So we've gone to many islands and I sat at the bar while he gambled at those islands.
All right. What about you, Dan? Because you and I have been to Vegas a handful of times. We've been to the casino
Couple of times.
going to the back when Michigan had blackjack rooms and poker rooms everywhere.
Yeah.
What is your experience with gambling, and what's your game or games of choice right now?
Well, obviously it's fun. You must know that, considering how many times we've gone over the last decade or more. As far as that goes, game of choice is going to be Pai Gow for sure. I think that's your game of choice too. Same with some Ultimate Texas Hold'em. That's the one that really got me started as far as enjoying table games. Besides blackjack, at least, that's definitely a fun one. I can sit down and play at any time.
Now, I
That's the
know
kind
a lot of people know what Texas Hold'em is, but explain it like they just turned 21. What is Ultimate Texas Hold'em?
So Texas Hold'em, you're going to get 2 cards. Everyone's going to get 2 cards. The dealer is going to have 2 cards, and there's going to be the flop, the turn in the river. I had to even remember what the damn name of it was. It's been so long. You get to bet based on your hands, and then you can bet or fold, and then you bet, and then you put your cards down in the flop and everything runs out, or you can check and wait to see, and the amount you can bet changes as more cards come out, and basically you have to beat the dealer as long as they qualify to get paid.
All right, and
terrible explanation, but
yeah. So
I'm picturing it in my head, but
the easiest way in Ultimate Texas Hold'em versus Texas Hold'em. Texas Hold'em is you versus everyone at the table. Ultimate is you versus the dealer. Period.
Yes,
so,
correct.
There are a lot of side bets where you can benefit from other people having better hands, but that's just a hole we won't necessarily go down. But Nick, what about you? I know I've played blackjack with you. I've been to the casino with you.
Yep.
What's your game of choice? What do you like to do at the casino?
Over the last few years, craps has been just all out fun. We'll do the slot machines. I usually am good for a few bills at the slot machines every once in a while, but craps is, if it's reasonable. Going back to what Rob was saying, the minimums, the minimums play a factor for me as to how much I plan on spending there. And if it's a 10, 20, $25 minimum, chances are I'm not going to spend a whole lot. But if it's like, a little less than maybe half that, $5, hey, I'm good for a couple hundred at the craps table. It's been a while. It's been a very, very long while. I actually think Gun Lake was actually the last time I was actually at a casino for the Michigan State bowling tournament a couple of years ago. That was probably the last time I actually gambled in a casino. And now with online gambling now officially legal in the state of Michigan as of noon today, don't tell anybody, but I'm making my bets right now for UFC.
We'll go into that a little bit and kind of help you guys traverse through the online gambling experience, because I personally have been gambling online for a while now. I used Bovada, doing sports betting, playing table games and stuff. But I think you brought up a valid point that I think everyone who is not necessarily afraid of gambling, but not even the penny pinchers, they just don't want to waste money. I think that's what created the daily sports fantasy world, because you can go in there and you can bet 50 cents or $1 and you can have high odds to hit well, or you can waste $1. If you go for the 1-to-1, where if you're just in the top 50% or top 48%, you get your money back and you win your bet. But I think that's what's created a lot of people going into daily fantasy sports, is because you only need to bet $1 or $2. You can feel more invested in games that aren't necessarily home games. For me, like, I, honest to God, do not watch football unless it's the Detroit Lions. So that's just.
I'm sorry.
That's just I like the Lions. I love football, but if it's not the Lions or if it's not Miami Hurricanes, like, I just don't watch football. So,
pick a new team, you'll be so much happier. Promise you.
Everyone,
not necessarily, because now we get to actually see an over/under to see how many kneecaps get taken out.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter yesterday. Oh, that actually kind of got me a little excited. Not gonna lie, but
that's
man.
the thing. So I'm bringing it back to John. Like, how did you get into daily fantasy, and how, obviously get so far into wanting to do a podcast about it and a show about it?
Sure. I have been in the bar industry for years before I started selling beer, and just always got invited into fantasy leagues in the late 90s and early 2000s. So I've been doing them for quite a long time. My home league actually has been going 18 years now, still going strong. And so a lot of fantasy. And then when I was working at Shark Club in Howell back in the day, it's gone now, sadly, but Wendy remembers hanging out with me up there. that's really when DraftKings and FanDuel kind of launched. And while I was sitting there, and it just kind of felt natural to get into that with playing in so many different season-long fantasy leagues. And it really is exactly how they describe it in advertisements. Like, you get burnt out in a season-long fantasy league if you're not one of the top 3 or 4 teams and you've been eliminated, but like, you still love football, you still want to get some action. So that's kind of the first time I had a losing season. By like week 7, I already knew I was out. And then I heard about this DraftKings and FanDuel and just kind of been addicted to it ever since. Been a big fan since day one. And turns out a lot of people in the beer industry like to gamble on sports too. So that didn't hurt.
ain't that the truth?
Within FanDuel, for me, I enjoyed it because I was able to, pick my own team, play a little bit with the salary cap. If I wanted to do a couple rounds or a couple different teams or setups for each week, that's why I love doing it. But I have friends who listen to hours and upon hours of podcasts and do research, and he'll send me a screenshot of like him, making $1,500 on one bet, and I'm like, oh my god, like it would be awesome to do that, but I don't know if the amount of time and effort. Like, for me, I personally, within the realm of fantasy sports, I like the fantasy football. I tried fantasy baseball. I just don't have the time to do something like that, because a lot of times you have to do it daily, and it's every single. I like my Tuesday, check my waivers to see who I want to pick up. Thursday, set my team to make sure nobody's set up for Thursday. Sunday, make sure nobody's hurt. Like, that's
I'm telling you, man, Ken, it'll change your world. You need to get on DraftKings and get on League of Legends DFS. I'm telling you, it's so fun. It's so good. That's all I did today, man. I had $150 in DFS lineups of League of Legends, and it started at noon today, and I watched it all the way to 5:45 today, and I lost $50. But that's not the point.
Well, I mean, nobody probably wins every single time. Even the ones that are professional gamblers. Like, there's an entire movie based on sports gambling with, I believe it's Matthew McConaughey. Is that Two for the Money?
Two for the Money. Yep.
And you look at all these professional gamblers and professional house bettors, and where's the right money line, and it's a lot for me to where, in going to asking myself the question, like Dan says, I do love playing Pygow, and the reason for that is that unless you're Dan, you pretty much stay there and you don't win or lose too much money. Dan, on the other hand, finds a way to lose every hand.
Every hand, absolutely, no question.
But it's one of those games where you can sit there and enjoy it, and even with a higher minimum bet, like a $15 or a $20 minimum, for the most part, you're not going to walk out there losing too much. And for me, like, I walk in with a number, and whatever that number is, that's how much I can spend or gamble that night. I do my best. A few times I've had a few too many beers and have gone to the ATM for a couple hundred more. But one of the big things is I've never bet more than I could afford to lose in the first place. So if I couldn't afford to lose it, then I just, I wouldn't have gone to the ATM. But for me,
what stops that from happening?
What's that? Not gambling?
No, the left pocket, right pocket system.
I used to do something like that, where if I was doing well in blackjack, I'd cash up a chip to like $100 and throw it in my pocket, and then I wouldn't play. And those are the chips that I had left, is what on the table.
Yeah.
For me, though, like, there was a time where I was in whatever the casino, I think it's Four Winds in Dwajak. I was working at Journeyman for a couple days. I go to Four Winds, I lost $100 in like 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm out of here, and I literally walked out. Like, I didn't.
See ya, bye-bye.
I did it twice in a row, 2 days in a row. I don't know if I was playing. I believe I was playing high card flush, and I just could not hit anything. And those are the types of games where if you're not hitting anything, you're going to lose money probably pretty fast. Now, a lot of people, Wendy, as you said, you kind of go into the slot machine, and the hard part about slot machines is that because the payout scale is so exponential, you tend to lose money at the slot machine unless you're going to play for a longer period of time. So the longer you play, your odds kind of shrink a little bit, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're still going to win or lose. And there's so many different slot machines, and it's, you're looking at, I think the house edge for slots can get up to like 20%. And at that point, for every $1.20 or a dollar you're spending, you're getting back 80 cents. I think that's the right math. I might be backwards. But
I pretty much give them the whole dollar.
yeah,
But
but there.
sometimes I win. I've won big a couple times, but
Well,
not very often.
exactly. For me, my first time in Vegas, I was down like $200 on the first night, and I wound up playing penny slots and hit like a $750 jackpot.
I remember that. That was in Vegas.
That was my first time in Vegas.
I do
What
have a
you
funny-
know, John, you talked about daily fantasy. Do you play table games at all, slots, anything like that? Like what? You're
my
in more
wife really-
control when you're doing fantasy because you're
Right.
picking players that you know
Mhm.
or you study. It's still gambling, but there's a little more control. When you're playing blackjack or you're playing Pai Gow or slots, like you're not in control. It's almost like autopilot. Am I going to win or not?
No, I'm a Texas Hold'em tournament. That's what I play. That's how I play, and I'm very excited because Poker Stars just announced yesterday they are also going to be legal in Michigan coming soon.
Do you know who they
Yes.
partnered with?
I saw it on their app, but I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. It's one of the smaller casinos.
For those of you who don't know, to open up like we've talked about FanDuel, DraftKings, all these people also have online casinos, which we'll talk about in just a minute. But they had to partner with a actual casino in Michigan. So some of them they have a really random affiliation. Like I think Golden Nugget is with Odawa. There's a handful of them that are tied together. Barstool is with Greektown. So just because it's Barstool Casino, it's actually being ran by Greektown. So that's how that's why I asked him the question, do you know who's sponsoring it? Now, on these online casinos, you can bet nearly everything you can at a sports book before, and I'll kind of open it up to you guys.
Really quickly, Ken, it's Odawa Casino. So that's up
Odawa.
by
Odawa's
Petoskey.
Poker Stars? Okay.
Petoskey. Yeah, that's
Yep.
Poker Stars.
My hometown.
Yep. Oh, Petoskey?
Yep.
Nice. Very nice.
Odawa, the only casino I ever accidentally walked into.
What?
I tried.
How do you accidentally walk into a casino?
I tried to go to the hotel, but the hotel's like a mile away from the casino.
Yes.
Two different things.
I walked in, the security guard's like, "Hey, I don't need to check your ID. The hotel's not here."
Yeah.
So it was hysterical, and he obviously you saw it all. He saw it all the time, but I was coming into the hotel at like 2 a.m. So if I'm showing up with a thing of luggage, he knows I ain't supposed to be there. Now, with sports betting itself, a lot of people, we talked about Two for the Money. There's a lot of other movies about sports betting. There is online, you can do nearly every single sports bet. And what's good, not good, but the availability on all these websites is you can bet on games as the games are happening. The odds continue to change as the scores are happening, as points change. Do you guys, Nick's watching it right now, maybe.
I'm watching stuff change here on the screen.
Do you guys, and this is probably for everyone but Wendy, do any sports gambling that isn't daily fantasy?
Yes, sir.
John's shaking his head, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Rob's saying no.
I'll bet on the horses, but outside of sports, no. Yeah.
Dan's a horse racing guy. I know Nick used to go to the tracks all the time.
Yeah, I used to go to Hazel Park Raceway when it was still open.
Oh, yeah.
It was, there's only one left in the state of Michigan, Northville Downs, and for those that's
not thoroughbred though, is it?
No, they're not thoroughbred. It's harness racing. So for those that are not familiar, harness racing is where you have a little buggy behind the horse, and the jockey's on the buggy. Actual thoroughbred, that's your Kentucky Derby and all that. Actually, I think TVG is the race channel, the TV channel that does nothing but horse racing that you can bet on. They just announced that they're going to be coming to Michigan too.
I noticed Twin Spires is going to Michigan too, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's just at noon today, the floodgates of online gambling literally just opened in the state of Michigan.
I've been kind of wondering, because obviously in the time that we're in, that there's been a whole lot of just the evolution of things. Mm-hmm. Whether it be, from now the gambling to from the beer deliveries to the carryouts and like all of this stuff that has changed. That, I mean, I didn't know this was even happening until this stuff hit today. And
You didn't see any of the Facebook advertisements? I think there was a few.
Oh,
you
dude,
didn't see
those
Ken
popped up
talking about it
all over my
nonstop?
feed, man.
Commercials were crazy.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing is that we don't generally have regular TV. Everything that we have in this house is all streaming. And so the only advertising I basically have seen has been that MGM Jamie Foxx ad that's been showing up. And then I just like, let me get rid of this. And I got rid of it. But, all of this now, and then now just like seeing all of the billboards that have been popping up lately. It's like, wow, we actually going to have gambling. And I think it's just the one thing that like immediately just pops in my head is worrying about the vices and just like the people who obviously have gambling as a problem. And obviously as I just want to sit here and just basically say that much like with our beer, to drink responsibly, to please gamble responsibly.
So let me talk about that for a second, if I may. So up until about a few years ago, every Sunday, NFL, I would drop at least $50, maybe $100 a week in FanDuel. I was a big FanDuel guy. And then
that's my tutoring budget.
That's your tutoring budget, $50 to $100. Well, I'm sure if it's a teenager, that's tutoring, so you don't have to pay them that much. So times 4, as Rob's here. So on top of that, started bowling in a bowling league, which I was dropping like $100 a week on top of that. So I had to make a decision. And then as much as I love doing FanDuel, I've enjoyed it. I've had fun. I actually stopped FanDuel and just said, okay, enough is enough. Bowling.
Were you gambling on the bowling?
Yeah,
you do. Yeah, you do. Of course you do. But
for those, sorry to interrupt, Nick, but
no,
for those
go ahead.
who aren't necessarily in bowling leagues or don't understand, because Wendy's laughing. There's mystery, which is where they pull a random number, and if you bowl that number, you win. Then there's box mystery, where if you pull if they pull the number 221 and you bowled a 122, you win. Then there's usually a bowling ball raffle that you put money in. Then there's if you want to gamble on how good you are at bowling, and you're going to bowl against other people and how well you're going to bowl that game. Then
I thought we were talking about Nick betting on like Norm Duke to win or something.
Oh God! Do they have that on?
I don't know. That's what I assume.
I'm gonna look right now. Norm Duke.
Well, while Nick's looking, John, you just opened up a brand new beer and showed it to the camera, guys. You can watch us live, betterondraft.tv, facebook.com/betterondraft, youtube.com/betterondraft, or bod podcast. That's our username on Twitch. What are you pouring over there?
What I talked about earlier, the Balrog the Unchuggable from Ascension, the Blanton's barrel-aged imperial milk stout with Heath bars, vanilla bean, and lactose.
Jonathan's going to get some shit sleep tonight with all the alcohol he's drinking.
I guess
if anything, Dan, I'm going to be betting Pete Weber.
I was going to say, or maybe Walter Ray Williams. That's another good one.
Yeah, he's like a 7-time horseshoe.
These are all bowlers.
Yeah. Are we betting on horseshoes or bowling though?
I don't know. Does BetMGM have horseshoes?
I don't know, Nick, but I would bet on it if it was on DraftKings. Just saying.
Ooh.
Is there even a possible way that you could even do this with beer in some way?
Beer.
Yeah,
you can drink the most beers before they pass out.
Hold on, wait.
We should totally talk about that.
There's actually a group called the Craft Beer League, I believe, which is fantasy craft beer.
Wait, what?
How is that a thing?
How do you do that?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out. They do something. Wendy's gonna research it. I know it exists.
That's the kind of gambling I can do.
I know it exists, and I know it's called the Craft Beer League.
What if you had like Beer Olympics and you just do betting that way?
I'm really upset that I'm 34 and I still have never done an actual Beer Olympics.
I've done one.
Sounds like we need to do a Better on Draft Summer Beer Olympics.
Man!
I'm very good at planning events.
Just saying. You could almost incorporate the beer mile into something like that, and just like maybe the degree of difficulty is multiplied based on the ABV of the beer that you pick.
Degree of difficulty, is this gymnastics or something? What's going on? Two Salchow? No, that's
All right,
figure skating. Never mind.
let's kind of bring it back because obviously the big thing that's happened today is online gambling. Now you can go onto these websites. There's a handful of them right now, and there are a lot of, I don't want to say scams. Scams is a really really harsh word for it, but there are a lot of I guess you could say faux advertising. Now, I'm going to share you guys a personal experience story because I think it's very important that I share it so that you don't fall to what I did. There was um, a bonus you got. So if you were using Bovada, which I do, if you use Bitcoin to deposit, which I did, you got 125% on top of your deposit. So if you put in 100, you get $125. Well, what they put in the terms and conditions, you have to bet 50 times what your deposit is. So for instance, if you put in $100, you got to bet $5,000 to match it up. What they also don't tell you is that
DraftKings and DK do that to you too, where they just trickle in money on your bonus.
Not all bets are created equal. So if you're playing live dealer blackjack on Bovada, none of that money counts. If you're playing regular blackjack on Bovada, just like virtual blackjack, only 10% counts. So instead of $5,000 to earn that $100, you got to bet $50,000 to earn. Now, it's just a pain in the ass to get to. So I'm sitting here with more than I care to admit in bonus funds, because if you're out of cash and you're just betting with the bonus funds, those bets don't count on Bovada. So I can only assume this is going to be the same. Now, there are great events that happen today to get people in the door and betting. There are some that were simple and easy. For instance, there was, I believe, on FanDuel, if you bet, you could bet $50 and you got the Pistons scoring 10 points in the first quarter today. That was one of the bets. On DraftKings, I believe there is one where you bet $50 if the Pistons score 1 3-pointer or more today. Another one is if either NFL team scores a touchdown, or any of the 4 NFL teams score 1 touchdown combined, at least, you win. So there are some gambling where when you bet and you deposit, you're not getting that money back. You're getting it in free credits that you have to bet again to potentially win the money. There's one that looked, they always say everything's too good to be true. Now, when you're dealing with casinos, the house always wins. They're expecting you to, put that money back in. And continue betting, continue gambling. I'm looking at the Bet MGM right now, and I see the Pistons at least scored 10 points. So I know
everyone wins.
But again, you're limiting the bet, $50. You're limiting who can do it, new people for the new states, and going through all those things. So I tell everyone when they're online gambling, be careful. Read the terms, because they, not like Bovada, a lot of these sites have been putting their terms and conditions pretty straightforward. They're telling you what MGM, you needed to bet, I believe it was either 5 or 15 times your deposit to get the match. So just be very, very careful, cautious when you're doing this, so you don't run into a problem like I did, which I have over $1,000 in Bovada that I can't touch until I bet another $35,000.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So it just
God.
See, and that's kind of one of the things that I liked about Prize Picks was
you beat me to it. I was about to say that.
Yeah, because I was getting ready to come to you about this, because I actually wanted you to talk about Prize Picks and their system, and that with this, I guess for myself personally, what really interested me about this was that it wasn't necessarily fantasy football and me having to create a team. It wasn't any fantasy in terms of any league where I had to create a team. It was, here's a list of players, here's where we project, and all you simply need to do is tell me whether or not they're going to get over or under those points, and it makes things easier. So and actually this is something that for the listeners out there that Jon Cole has actually put onto the fantasy
football blueprint.com.
Blueprint.com has put that stuff out there for everyone to listen about. So actually, I wanted you to talk about the Prize Picks and how Prize Picks can be a bit more different for everyone who,
Sure. Yeah, it's kind of unique, and we kind of slowed it down with the playoffs. Well, I'll have an article out tomorrow for Sunday's games. But yeah, like you said, it's kind of a mix in between sports betting and fantasy. So they give you a list of players, they give you their projection of fantasy points, and you parlay 2, 3, 4, or 5 players, and you pick whether they're going to go over or under. If you get them all right, you get exponentially times your entry depending on which parlay you took. They actually launched today prop bets too. So like specific amount of yards a certain running back might get, or touchdowns a quarterback might throw. But yeah, it's interesting. I really like it. You can do like a 4-player parlay where you pick whether 4 different players go over or under. You hit them all right, you get 10 times your entry, which has been pretty entertaining and fun. It's a very limited amount of players they give you to choose from. So it's a really kind of an entertaining way to kind of get into sports betting. And speaking about bonuses, Ken,
I want to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
One minute.
Yep.
So to add on to Nick a little bit earlier, talking about and Rob too, talking about that low barrier of entry for money. Parlays, if you are looking to dip into gambling, that's when you bet on 4 or 2 or more specific bets. So for instance, you can bet on tonight in basketball, Michigan's playing Purdue and the Detroit Pistons are playing the Houston Rockets.
And you could also, and Red Wings are playing Chicago Blackhawks too.
Sure. So I could bet on all 3 of those games $1, and that $1 could potentially turn into more than a standard 1-for-1 bet. Like I bet $1, win $1. You could, this is low and gambling. You could turn that parlay. There are a lot of people who go with what they call a full NFL week parlay, where they bet on every single one of the games. They throw $5 on there, and usually the prize is huge because it's $5 times 2. What's that notation? 5 to the 16th power. That's how much money you're going to win.
Yeah. So it's very similar Prize Picks, and they have a flex pick too, where you could pick 3 or 4 right, and you still get a portion of your prize, not the whole prize, but you might get 5x instead of 10x. But going back to their bonus, if you want to talk about bonuses, what Rob liked and what he got into, and I talked to him about it, is if you deposit $100 there, they give you a $100 deposit bonus that you can just put on a bet right there on the spot, that $100. There's no trickle down, there's no nothing. And if you'd like that, just put in promo code Blueprint today. Just kidding.
I will make sure, because obviously I'll be putting it through a few promo codes of the ones that are live for Michigan and online betting itself.
Right. Do it.
There is so many bets and parlays and different things that you can bet on, not just sports. There are some organizations and companies. Now, this is definitely not legal in any sense, because you're going to be betting in a foreign country. And they could take your money if they want, and you're shit out of luck. But you can go to more credible sites like a Bovada, and you can bet on things like The Bachelor, or you can bet on politics. Like there are points, and I know I've talked about it with a few people. You could bet on who was going to win the presidency in 2020. Like you can gamble on that.
Bachelor more credible?
No, the website that people can bet on is there's more credible websites that you can use to bet on. Like John's, gamblingoffice.com might not be as credible as say Bovada, which
I only take PayPal payments for that service.
Which is Bovada is a major, a very well-known industry within Gambling, thank you. Online gambling, I should say. So if you use Bovada, you can bet on stuff. And you can look at odds, too. Like, there are probably odds out there right now that who is going to be the Democratic candidate in the 2024 election. And you can bet on that. And sure, you got to wait 4 years to find that answer. But that is something that you can go and bet on.
But you get the best odds if you do it now.
Well, yeah, true. So be very, very wary of the websites that you go to. Definitely use, Google to see what people might say about those websites, because most of these websites like Bovada are offshore. They're in like Peru or, somewhere in the Caribbean. So, you just got to be very, very careful, which is why it's a big deal that it's now in Michigan. that you're going to be able to bet on actual things right now. So I kind of want to. We're going to be closing this up here in a minute. I want us to have a fun little bet. We're going to bet between the 6 of us. I'm going to give each of you something to bet on, and then we'll kind of come back and see how that goes. So, John, I want you to pick your sport of choice.
Oh, I think we got to go NFL.
Yes.
All right. So, John, I am going to give you a standard over-under bet. And over-under means points total scored between the two teams. Do you want the Bay versus Bay or Buffalo versus Kansas City?
Give me Buffalo, Casey.
All right, your choice is 53.5 over or under. I'm gonna actually go grab so I can write these down instead of just pretend that I'm writing it down.
Wow.
And we still don't know whether or not Mahomes is playing.
He was
Yeah,
cleared. He was
cleared.
cleared.
He's
Oh,
today.
he was cleared today. Oh,
Yeah.
He's cleared
all
today.
right. I'm good.
All right, John, you got $100 or 110. That's what you're minus 110. 110. What are you betting it on?
I am taking all the money in this pretend scenario.
Yep.
And I'm going to go the under.
All right, so you're betting. Of course, my pen doesn't want. There we go.
Go look at the history of these two teams playing each other. Go look at the history of playoff games. It's going under, my friends.
All right, John's
Wow,
saying under.
okay.
You know, if
All
you're
right.
right, that means you should probably listen to John and his podcast. That's Draft for Upside. Draft spelled the incorrect way, DRAUGHT. Robert, I need a sport from you.
Still football.
Still football. All right. I am going to give you the option. Where is this stupid? I'm on BetMGM right now. For those of you who are
Terrible site, just for the record.
yeah, the website and the app have not been very, very good, but I was in the middle of withdrawing the money that I put in there to make sure that I did it. So
The app is fine, though the website is not working very well right now. Yeah, on your computer. So I don't know.
all right, Rob, are you ready?
Yep.
You are gonna bet on the following: how many points will Green Bay score in the first quarter? Your choice is over or under 6.5.
At 6.5, I mean,
Do they score a touchdown in the first
and
quarter?
touchdown and an extra point. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, I would think the Bucs defense is okay, but I don't think they're good enough that they're gonna stop. That's the thing, is that Aaron Rodgers he
You're
gets
taking too long.
early. So yeah, over.
All right, he's betting the over. Dan, I need a sport.
NHL.
NHL hockey.
Hockey.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
I relived. If you guys have never seen it, search. This is a very specific keyword, but search Black St. Louis fan finds out about hockey, and you could see this entire crazy thread. This guy tried to go watch I think a Cardinals game, and the Blues were running over, and he had never seen hockey before, and watching this guy learn about hockey for the first time is so like it is a crazy, crazy thing. All right, Dan, we're gonna go with a game for tomorrow.
Okay.
We're gonna go with a all Canadian game.
The North Division.
The Canadians versus the Canucks.
Ooh, the Canadians are stomping everyone right now.
I got to give you the bet. It could be an over
okay.
or under. It could be there's.
Okay.
Your choice is you're doing a straight, not a straight bet, a money line, not a money line, sorry, a spread. 1.5 plus to Vancouver.
The Canadians are going to cover that.
So can minus 1.5. All right, Nicholas.
I'm gonna go with a sport that I don't know a lot about, just
Okay.
because I think it's fun. Let's go with basketball.
Oh, I thought you were about to say
Nice.
something like tennis.
No, I actually probably watch more tennis than I do basketball.
All right.
Unless it was the 2004 Pistons.
Nick, I'm
That
gonna
was
have
shit.
fun
Great
with
team.
you.
All right, yeah, it was a great team. All right, what's up?
Nick, I need you to bet on the game tonight, North Dakota versus South Dakota State. Your choice is North Dakota plus 14.5 or South Dakota minus 14.5.
I don't know anything about either school.
You don't know anything about basketball.
Yeah, right. So, and I don't know anything about either school. So I'm just for shits and giggles, I'm gonna take the plus 14.
All right, Nick taking the points. Wendy,
I'm sorry, I was sidetracked looking up to see that the Canadians are actually a team.
yes, in Montreal.
I'm
What?
sorry. I'm like, really?
Canadians.
That's who you're choosing, the Canadians.
Canadians.
The Canadians, yes.
I was like, that's not really a team, is it?
Montreal. They're the most
That
winningest.
tells you how long it's been since I've watched a hockey game.
Most winningest NHL team of the Stanley Cup in history.
Please tell me I don't have to win.
No, this is just
Or
for
I don't
fun.
have.
For fun.
Please tell me I don't have to pick a sport.
Yeah, just pick a sport, and then I will give you something really easy.
Have her do MMA.
She doesn't know about.
I probably wouldn't be able to do that either.
Conor McGregor's fighting.
Come on, one sport.
We'll go football.
Football. Okay. You got two big games this weekend. You got the championship games. We did Kansas City Buffalo for John. So for you, Wendy, you are going to pick on the Tampa Bay versus Green Bay game. Your choice is, do you want to pick Tampa Bay to win outright or Green Bay to win outright?
I'm gonna pick Green Bay.
All right.
Going with the cold weather.
And she gets even odds on that, even though it's not an even odd bet. Just because I make the rules. I'm a horrible bookie. Guys, that's going to do it. A fun little episode of Better on Draft, the gambling edition. We're going to have some codes for you to log in. Hit us up if you guys are doing any online sports gambling. You want to hit us up and talk to us about it. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us on Facebook, Better on Draft, Twitter, Better on Draft, Instagram, Better on Draft. Of course, see all the beers we drank tonight on BOD Podcast, BODPODCAST on Untapped. John, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate the last minute call in. We will be back next week with Parish Brewing for episode 251. No matter what you think of your beer, we think it's Better on Draft. Have a good night.
Hey.
Peace.